Yeah, there you are, you're live, so close Facebook now.
Okay. Hello.
All right. Yep,
Hello.
you're live.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the echo chamber. Today we are chatting with Gabby Chung, our warrior for the children, or we've got two children warriors today, Gabby Chung and Sophia Lazar. Today we're going to have a look at the Ghislaine Epstein shenanigans. You know, we're all very curious about this, or we should be. This is a major court case that the mainstream media are pretty much ignoring. And we know we have deep connections here in Australia with the Ghislaine Epstein, what do we call it? It's a monstrosity, isn't it? It's a horror show. And we know that there are links to the Clinton Foundation, to Mossad. They're a deeply embedded spy family. Her old man and her sisters, they've all spied for, worked for Mossad and linking with the FBI. And I mean, it goes on. And as we know, the trial at this point is focused on the 4 teenage girls at the time who are now adult women that we've seen on if we've watched the Netflix, and we've watched the Netflix documentaries on Ghislaine and hi Sophia on Epstein. That's what they focus on, these girls. But we know that there are much, much deeper and more devilish things going on here. And so we're going to have a chat about that today, what goes on underground. Hello, darling.
Hello.
How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Lucky I saw that, because I'm thinking 1 o'clock our time, and I just raced and put a dress on.
Sorry. Yeah, I should have let you know. Sorry, we're a bit late on that, sending out the invite today, but that's...
Oh, no, that's okay. I just was thinking 1 o'clock Queensland time for some reason.
I know Gabby knows it's 1 o'clock Melbourne time, so she'll be joining us.
You mean 12 o'clock? 1 o'clock Melbourne time, yeah.
1 o'clock Melbourne. So she's on the ball, Sophia. So one of us has to be on the ball.
Oh, my God, I didn't put any makeup on or anything. Doesn't matter.
You're beautiful, just the way you are. We love natural. You got natural light there, or is it the...
No, well, it's a lamp as well.
Oh, I got some good natural light in here, so yeah. But I still need a little makeup. I know.
There's so much going on.
I know. It's I mean, I said I woke up the other day with a cloudy head. I don't have a cloudy head today, but I've noticed over the last few days I seem to have like a numb sort of headache. It's not a headache, but it's like my brain is kind of full or something. It's, you know.
I slept about 12 hours last night.
I actually had a good sleep last night. I slept like crap the night before, kept waking up, but last night I slept till the cat started scratching on the door, but that was okay. Little bugger. But yeah, no, so today we're going to have a look at this Ghislaine farce. I call it a farce, really. It's just a... It seemed, you know,
I saw an interesting thing, a photo saying that it's already been done. This is just for the public perception.
Yep.
Which I think is interesting.
Who was it the other day that was talking and said it was possibly a white hat op? I don't know who that was, but...
AJ, I'm on a Zoom.
Kids, don't you love them?
Yeah. I'm just trying to find this picture. I saved it. Oh, so much going on. I've I've actually been going through all Gabby's posts this morning, so I'm a bit just to get some notes and
She's
few
on
questions.
She
Oh
is
my God.
Yeah.
It's too much, isn't it?
She's a good researcher, Gabby. She does the hard work.
She's unbelievable.
Yeah. Has she got kids?
I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Yeah, it's this one.
Yeah, so
The Ghislaine Maxwell trial. It's just a trap. Oh, hang on. Sorry.
you're right.
This new phone, I'm trying to get used to it.
Your clear phone.
I did a screenshot. Okay. It's just a trap to catch the bad, corrupt judges and legal teams. The actual trial already happened in the tribunals. The evidence is clear and resignations are happening. We are watching a movie.
We keep hearing it. We keep hearing, we're watching a movie, we're watching a movie, we're watching a movie. I mean, at what point do people sort of stop and think, that's true, we are watching a movie. This is all just charades. It's like, and we're all playing Chinese whispers, you know. And that's the idea. It's just it's set to confuse us. It's set to sort of pit us against each other. And I mean, you know, all this stuff with Trump flying on Epstein's plane and all this bullshit. We know that he never went over to Epstein's Island. We know that for a start, I mean, you can't get to Epstein Island by plane. You have to fly to another island and catch a boat, or, you know, possibly a submarine, or, you know, who knows how these people were getting to the island. But we've seen the flight records. We've seen the flight log for Epstein's plane. We know that Clinton was on the plane 27 times or something. These are deeply embedded with the Clintons, the royal family.
I mean, that wasn't even the bad island.
No.
Richard Branson's one had two. Richard Branson had two. This was like the pedo B club, Epstein's one. Pedo A club was on the Nexa Island.
Yeah, we haven't even started hearing about the Virgin stuff, have we? I know, it's extraordinary. And I mean, then you've got, you know, the island that Biden owned.
I'll let her know we're on.
Just down from, I think it was the next island down in the chain from Epstein's Island. Joe Biden owned that island, or still owns it.
Yeah.
Horrific. The Satanic Temple. And then we've got all of Epstein's other properties.
Are we going live today?
We're live now.
Oh.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me that.
Oh, sorry.
I know I'm raving on about makeup and lights.
You know, this is the beauty of what we're doing, is that we don't care. We've gone past giving a fuck, right? We do not care. You know.
We don't care.
We don't care. We know who's in our corner. We know who's not. Here she is.
Hi guys, how are you?
How you doing?
Good, good.
Hey, we were wondering if you've got kids.
I have furry kids, so I've got a whole lot of animals, but I don't have human children. Yeah.
You look beautiful, Gabby.
Thank you. Lovely to see you guys.
You too. Thank you again for
joining. You're back from a bit of a break as well, aren't you, Bella?
Jane.
Oh, no, Bella.
Oh, yeah. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Bella's still having a little reprieve from coming on live. She's still having a look around and whatnot, but she's just taking a bit of a break to support her family member.
Yeah, you have to do it as well.
We have to do it. Even if it's 10 minutes at the beach, we all have to do it.
Yeah, and everyone's putting themselves so out there, you know, being a voice, and, you know, you have to fill your own cup first as well, don't you? So it's so important to have that balance.
Someone said to me many years ago, take care of the caretaker. And it's, you know, it's sort of the same thing. If you're on the plane, you've got to put your own oxygen mask on first, don't you?
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly.
If we don't fill ourselves up, we've got nothing to give. So there's no, you know, this is very important. It was always important, but it's more important now than ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy times.
I spent the morning going through your page again this morning, and I just really need to honour you, Gabby, for your consistency, your diligent research. I've written some notes and some questions just through your posts, and I see them every day and I read them every day, but you really need to read them 2 or 3 times to understand how deep this goes.
It does. You know, every week, Sophia, like, I mean, I've been interested and kind of, you know, my eyes were open to this very young. So, you know, I thought I knew so much of it, but every week my eyes are opened even more. Like, I find like another level of just despicable filth that shocks me. And it just blows my mind that the public's so unaware at the moment, even of the basics, you know, and we're finding out just the extreme level of depravity of it all. Yeah, it's incredible. And Jane wanted to ask you on just to sort of highlight what's the obvious elephant in the room at the moment is the Ghislaine case.
I think it was actually Gabby's idea in the beginning to do to focus on this. So I'm super happy to go along with that.
Yeah. Well, isn't it interesting that, you know, it's such a massive case involving the court, you know, the cover up by the courts, the government, you know, there's Hollywood involved, there's presidents, politicians, and it's just a media blackout, not just in Australia, but, you know, America's super quiet except for the independents as well. So it's just so interesting. I saw some cool signs of people that were protesting outside of the case, saying like, you know, this is a war on our children, and where is CNN? And it's so true. Like, why are they not covering this case? And I mean, we know the answers to that because they're all completely involved. But yeah, we can only hope that the general public are seeing now the massive divide between the narrative that was shown on the media and the reality of what's happening, because why isn't this case being reported? And yeah, like just even the crazy court conditions, like no phones, no video. We've had sketches of Ghislaine. You know, how's she even getting into court every day? Kind of makes you wonder how she's avoiding the media completely. So it's all very interesting, and it's like a real-time view of a massive cover-up by the government, their control of the media, and withholding this information from the people. So we can only hope that it opens a lot of eyes, just seeing the discrepancies. Hey,
yeah, I think I'm going to assume that a lot of people have watched on Netflix the Epstein and the Ghislaine documentaries that they did, and I'm also going to assume that they think that's all there is to it. Mm-hmm. That there were just a few girls, you know, and blah blah blah. It's all about the teenage girls, and as if that isn't bad enough, then you know, we know that it goes much deeper. Do you want to sort of touch on that a little bit, Gab?
Yeah, absolutely. And like what you were saying, the media is going out with these headlines portraying, you know, Ghislaine and Epstein as, you know, people that liked young women, procurers of young women. And that's not it. They're child rapists. And if we dig a little bit deeper, you know, we're talking about people that are involved in the intelligence community. Ghislaine's father, Robert Maxwell, was a media mogul, and, you know, he was Mossad, which is Israeli intelligence. Ghislaine's sisters, you know, were involved in the FBI creating software for antiterrorism, which we all know what that is. It's against people speaking the truth like us right now. So, you know, they both come from a long line of cult families, I guess we'd say, where they've been set up in those roles for a specific reason. And it's the creation of, you know, these honeypots. You know, they were exploiting and using children, not only for the monetary terms of what that's worth, the trafficking, which is an astronomical business. You know, it's valued at like $200 billion a year, but really how much of that is even known? So it's going to be so much more than that as well. But these guys are intelligence, and they were basically blackmailing the rich and powerful. It was a form of control, which we know the CIA and all the intelligence communities have used on prominent people. So they're under control. And it's really concerning that it's not being called out, you know, that these key players in this international trafficking ring were intelligence, but even more so, they're Mossad intelligence. So it's an Israeli operation in the US. So it really points to like a huge amount of, you know, the involvement of intelligence agencies, governments, all around the world. And this is what survivors like our Fiona Barnett in Australia have been calling out for decades, you know, that this is an international operation. It doesn't have borders. Yeah, it's just to even consider the size of these operations and the number of children that are involved. You know, there's hundreds of survivors of Epstein that are starting to speak out in the US already. And unfortunately, from what we know, ladies, there's so many survivors that wouldn't be in the position to speak, so many people that are no longer with us. So it's absolutely horrific. And, you know, it's not just the trafficking. The Epstein Island was set up for ritual abuse. There was torture chambers underneath, tunnels, you know, as well as every single inch of that New York apartment and the island being monitored by surveillance so it could all be controlled. You know, we're talking about ritual abusers. So all of those people that you've seen coming onto the island, that you watch on movies and listen to their music, you know, they're hanging out with a bunch of Satanists. It was satanic. It was a temple. So yeah, the media isn't really spinning it that way whatsoever. Not surprising.
No, and they're certainly not talking about Epstein's transhuman agenda. They're not talking about Epstein's baby impregnating farm. He wanted as many little Epsteins on the planet as possible. They're not talking about the genetic modification and all the horror that went on perhaps at his ranch in Mexico.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a lot of people don't realize is, you know, Epstein set himself up as a philanthropist, you know, like our Bill Gates. So, you know, he was donating millions of dollars, like in media articles, he's noted as donating $200 million to various research departments. You know, what's someone like that who's in the intelligence community, who's also being pulled up? He's a known pedophile. He's, you know, now he's off the public stage. But, you know, we know he's a child trafficker. We know he's a Satanist. And what's he doing, you know, donating all these money to scientific research? So, you know, it really points to just how much this agenda that we're living through at the moment with the mandation of jabs is related to and controlled by the intelligence communities and the cults, which, you know, they operate, and they're virtually indistinguishable in their operations. And the CIA has had such, you know, an interest. It's been their main focus since their creation on mind control and programming. And a massive part of that is the artificial intelligence, the transhumanism agenda. And when you look into it, it's completely satanic because it's about dictatorship, it's about control, it's about being able to control people's behavior.
I heard an interesting term the other day, directed evolution, which is the you know, the gene manipulation that's happening through these jabs. And it was focused sort of on the hydrogel that's in these jabs as well. And you know, the more and more you get put into you, the more and more you become less human. I mean, for God's sake, less human. This is the agenda. Go onto the World Economic Forum website. Look at what class they're telling us to our faces.
They really are, aren't they? Yeah. And, you know, nanotechnology has been found in vaccines. Like there's been European scientists that have been calling that out for the last decade or more. So it's not new that jabs have been used with these transhumanistic agendas. the one that they're working with at the moment is just really advanced. It's their latest creation. And what's really interesting with that is the actual development for the parasites that are in the vaccines at the moment. You know, that all relates back to what the cults were doing through our universities in the 50s and 60s right here in Australia, and universities and institutions all around the world. They were testing jabs. They were trying to weaponize, or they were creating biowarfare weapons. What for? So, you know, we're living through these times of all those decades of research of these underground, you know, fairly hidden operations are being unleashed on humanity right now. And it's sad to see just the level of indoctrination with, you know, people's programming of, you know, just being led along and being told to take this, that, and whatever. They can't see that it's an actual attack on humanity. It's an attack on our DNA, which is, you know, our gift from the universe, from God, however you want to call it. It's what makes us human. So,
and that's what they've been doing at Area 51 all this time. I mean, we're talking about our Australian connection here today as well, with the Five Eyes and the military base at Area 51. They went down 400 kilometres to clean it out. And what's been going on there with experimentation, transhumanism, and hybrid breeding, and terrible, terrible things that have been going on there. And so many people are speaking out about that area as well. Australia's been the head of the snake, really.
God knows what goes on at Pine Gap. And I mean, underground in Australia. I mean, my goodness.
I was just going to say Area 51, you know, it probably pales in comparison to what we have at Pine Gap, which just hasn't really come out yet. And survivors like Fiona Barnett, other whistleblowers have been speaking about, you know, Anthony Kidman was there experimenting, you know, our kids from state care in Darrick and other institutions around Australia were not just being trafficked to be raped, they were also being trafficked and exploited for experimentation. And these are exactly the programs we're talking about, the MK Ultra, the mind control, and all of that research they did, because it was so detailed, it went on for decades of how they were modifying these boys and girls' behavior. You know, that's being unleashed on the mass population, or it has been for many years, but really directly at the moment in how they're controlling us. It's that translation from the work and the research they've done on individuals being translated out to how they're controlling society through the repetition of lies, through, you know, the rescuer, like we're looking to, well, some people are looking to the premiers and the prime ministers to make things better because that's what we've been taught and indoctrinated to do. So there's so many layers to what they've done.
Now they're doing it on a mass scale with this.
They really are. Horrific, isn't it?
I mean, we don't have to look too far here in Queensland. Our premier, her father has a DNA harvesting company that works out of China. I mean, there are links everywhere. What do you need? What do you need to harvest people's DNA for? They can clone you off your DNA.
Absolutely.
I mean,
scary, isn't it? And obviously we would not, the technology and the research that we're aware of as the general public would be decades behind where they're actually at the moment. Like we're talking, like Sophia was just saying, these underground facilities are like massive cities, bigger than we have cities above ground, you know, and they've been working on this for decades. So it's mind-boggling how horrific it is. And it's just, you know, come on, guys, the public needs to wake up to this.
I saw a post yesterday saying that this case is just really just to expose the judges and the fraud within the justice system, that it's already happened, the tribunals all already happened, and this is just for public perception. And I feel that that's happened because
that sits right with me too.
Yeah, I saw what's his name, that comedian that did on the Golden Globes, he did that speech.
Oh, Ricky Gervais.
And all the celebrities were there, just dropped mouth with all the bombs that he actually said on that speech, and a lot of it was to do with Epstein and Weinstein.
Yeah.
But where are they all now? You don't see any of them.
Yeah.
You don't see any of them. All their homes are up for sale.
There's no coming
Well,
out.
apparently, a lot of them are in Australia and New Zealand
I
hiding
bet
out.
they are. Yeah, we're the safe place, the protected place. They've got the police here under their thumb, the courts under their thumb, the media under their thumb.
Yep.
You know, it's pretty damn safe for them here in Australia, the head of the snake. So I wouldn't doubt that a lot of them are hiding out here. Like Nicole Kidman, we had a supporter saying that, you know, she's had police all around her property protecting it. She's just outside of Byron. So yeah, I imagine there'd be plenty of them hiding out here. Tom Hanks come here to hide out when things got a bit hot. Remember back a year ago.
I think it was Ghislaine there was a yacht in New Zealand as well, wasn't there? Like at the beginning of this in 2020, there was Ghislaine had a yacht there. So before
and they found baby clothes in the bins. Yeah. I think they're already been taken to the spa. I think they've already been dealt with, and what we're watching is a movie and public perception and drip, drip, drip. That's just my feeling. But yeah, I saw you interview that lovely man who is a survivor who's spoken out.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest that to your audience too, like, because MK Ultra, you know, this whole awareness about the intelligence agencies is it's quite challenging to get your head around until you've sort of read enough into it. We interviewed this week on Aquarius Rising, which is an African channel that speaks out about SRA and crimes against children. An amazing survivor here from Darrick State Care. His name's Stephen Masters, and he just spoke about his experiences, and he does a lot of research himself. He's an incredible survivor, raising awareness for what he's been through and supporting other survivors of SRA in Australia. And look, it's a great interview, I believe, to start with if you're just learning more about this as well. And it's from someone with that lived experience, you know, someone in Australia that can tell you about the CIA operating in state care, about, you know, every single boy in this institution that probably took in over 1.5 million kids in the time it was open for 25 years, was abused in some way. And, you know, the abuse was built around MK Ultra programs. The CIA, and they would have been in with the ASIO, Australian Intelligence, were running just such a massive program of MK Ultra through that facility, as well as all the experimentation as well. So he did an amazing job of explaining a really complex topic as well. Yeah.
He said that Anthony Kidman was the worst.
Yeah. A number of survivors have said that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely horrific, isn't it?
No matter how many times you hear it, it's shocking.
It really is.
It doesn't get less. It doesn't get easier to hear. It doesn't get less shocking. It just goes on and on. It's quite extraordinary.
Yeah.
And he spoke of the Porky's nightclub in King's Cross. That's where they used to take them all underneath. Absolutely.
So in King's Cross, Sydney, there was two venues. Probably the main one was Costello's, where the boys were taken to, but Porky's was a secondary option. And these state care kids were exploited and trafficked into this business, which was there for child rape. And, you know, Frank Houston from infamous Hillsong was one of the main parties that was trafficking the children in, along with the owners and the people that were managing boys' homes like Darrick. And that was a federal MP. That was Alistair Webster. So if you want to see on paper how corrupt it is in Australia and how they haven't even bothered to hide it, you know, we had an Australian MP running a boys' apparent care, state care. Yeah, it's right there.
I keep showing this book, right? I keep showing it because it's like, it's there. It's all there. It's all written down in book.
Shane's done such a great job of that. Yeah. But yeah, these boys were being taken in and, you know, they'd been locked in these private rooms for people to come in and rape them. It wasn't just that, they were tortured as well. You know, survivors had talked about their toenails being ripped off, them being burnt, them being cut. Like it's satanic stuff. And, that brings us back to, the links between the Ghislaine case and Australia. That's our list of 28. Like Heffernan was speaking out about those 28 as the legal fraternity. They did have a few ring-ins. There was a former prime minister, a powerful politician, and a businessman. And if I had to bet on it, I'm not a gambler, but I would put down that businessman's Frank Houston, because he was in and out of Costello's like there was no tomorrow. He was the one selling, and I guess with these judges, because they wanted to make sure the judges, the barristers, the solicitors were all within the system, he was giving them, use of his merchandise. So I would put, it on the nose that he's the prominent businessman on that list of 28.
Well, we know for a start there's a hell of a lot more than 28. And we know now that there's definitely more than one prime minister on, whether he's on that list, but he should be.
Yeah.
We also know now that Bob Hawke was an Israeli citizen. I mean, the links go deep.
These are all Freemasons as well. So, they're in multiple groups of filth. So, yeah.
And you look at the amount of millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars donated to the Clinton Foundation from Julia Gillard and
good old Ruddy boy.
Rudd, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Plus,
$380 million from Australia, and the Hillary Clinton Foundation was financing Ghislaine's philanthropy gig, which was Terramar. And Terramar's really interesting to look into as well, because they were setting themselves up as an exclusive country, so with all of their own rights, laws, and like powers over the sea. Who has the right to sell the sea to a corporation? I mean, we don't. This world is ruled by corporations at the moment, and we're seeing that come out more and more. But
and she had the submarine company, and had all the docks underneath all these islands. And just before you came on, we were talking about Epstein, but really no one's brought up Necker Island with Virgin Man yet.
Branson, just around the corner. And he's got some nice photos with women all over him with the tattoos on them that look very much like a trafficking stamp. So, that's
and they were saying that Epstein Island was really grade B island and his island was grade A. Like that's where all the royals used to go.
There you go.
He owned a few islands, I believe. And like we said too, as well, Joe Biden had an island next to Epstein. And I mean, they've all got submarine. God knows what was going on under the waters. We've been told, watch the waters. There's a.
I know, right? And I think we'd be so surprised what is actually under the water. No doubt there's cities under there as well, with like underground dams deep underwater as well. So it's just so much to come out publicly, isn't it? So I mean,
who else do you think is going to be named through the Ghislaine trial that's attached to Australia? Who do you think?
We've got Paul Keating's daughter photographed coming out of.
Absolutely. Waving goodbye to Prince Andrew. So we'd expect Prince Andrew to definitely be in there. Surely the Clintons would be in there as well. But I guess it really comes down to, firstly, the witnesses that are coming forward from the US, and then it comes down to how much of the documentation they let out. Because apparently, reading the articles from Monday from the US, the jurors have been able to view the evidence. So some of the photos, etc., that were on these hard drives and CDs that were found in his apartment. So is that going to come out public, or is that going to be suppressed completely?
But then the judge, who's I think a transgender, is appointed by Obama, and then the prosecutor is Cuomo's daughter, or something. I mean, how legitimate is this going to be? Really, is this just a show?
Yeah, I believe, with my feeling about it is, I believe this is going to expose the corruption in the legal system. And that's exactly what we're going to have happening here with the Frank Houston case. as well. He had a court date last month, not a word through the media. I'm sure it was adjourned and pushed back because that's what always happens, but not a single media outlet in Australia chose to cover it, not even an independent. So I'm trying to track down the date that it has been set, because I think we need to have a demonstration about, Houston going back to court. But yeah, like the only reason that the independents in Australia wouldn't be able to report on it is either the information hasn't been released or there's been a suppression order.
Yeah.
Because that's really what suppression orders do. They can't hold the public back from speaking about any topic, because that would be quite communist. But they stop the media. So, the suppression orders are there to stop this information going out to the public in a mass way. So I would put money on it that a suppression order has been put over his case for now. We'll have to find out when his next court date is. But yeah, so many connections between Ghislaine's case in Australia, and I hope that there are photos incriminating these people. Like you said, there was Catherine Keating at the Epstein's New York apartment leaving. But yeah, Epstein and Ghislaine flew into Australia in 95, and they actually partied with Lindsay Fox, James Packer. They're on James Packer's massive yacht. That was for Christmas or New Year's, I think. And they visited Melbourne and Sydney. So, our two prominent trafficking hubs, coincidentally as well. And how concerning is it that we have Lindsay Fox is in a massive transport company. He's hanging out with child traffickers, and the mass media didn't report on it. A few independents did, and Lindsay denied it all, but he never took them for defamation, because then they'd be able to present what they had. So I'd say it sticks. So that's really interesting to see, someone like Lindsay Fox here in Victoria linked to those kind of people. And then he's so tied in with the agenda as well. Like, he had a bid for the quarantine facility being built in Victoria. He was trying to get it built at Avalon at his airport. So, he's deep in the thick of this. And then
didn't Andrews have a run-in with him?
I was just going to say that, yeah. The rumour is, which no one is game enough to publish in the media, a few independents have, is that Daniel Andrews got his head knocked off because he was fiddling with Lindsay Fox's, was it granddaughter? Yeah, and look at it this way, like, we know with the cults and these high-profile families that there's this whole disgusting child swapping nonsense going on, just filth. So
then it ties in with the Hillsong Church, and I mean John Howard and obviously ScoMo. There's all those links there, which
absolutely. So that it's almost like Sophia said, like, I believe, and there is survivors speaking out in the US at the moment that they have been to the military tribunals. Yeah. So it's not a hearsay, it's happening. But I believe this is to wake up the public. And if my feeling is that they're having a lot harder time than they expected deprogramming the public. I reckon they would have thought it would have been a lot easier to wake people up, given the amount of information that's out there and how freely everything's come back onto the internet that was blocked 2 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can get on and view everything yourself from these cases.
What I'm amazed at is at these marches, no one talks about it, at these big rallies, and that is the perfect opportunity to get it out there, because there's 700,000 people in Victoria, and how many people are filming it? The only person who's spoken up publicly is Bossy. And but even at these rallies, no one's talking about it, except that beautiful woman who sang
Claire Woodley.
And she dedicated it to Fiona and Rachel.
Yeah, that was such a beautiful moment in Australian history. Like, I thanked Claire personally, and I was just like, that tape took real courage to stand up there, and knowing that the media would write all over it saying conspiracy theory, that was a given, but to stand there for those survivors and call it, and in terms of like this not being spoken about at rallies, like I've tried to get our speakers on, I've tried to get survivors on so frequently. And I find it quite ridiculous that they're having politicians go and speak at these rallies, full stop.
Agree.
Whether they're even the politicians, even people that are running, I think that they've got other avenues to get their word out there. I don't think they need to be at the rallies. I think the people at the rallies need to be the ones that are speaking should be the people that have lived experience and can actually raise awareness, regardless of what area it is in. But it's a real tragedy that, you know, SRA survivors and people that have knowledge of the level of corruption in the government, because there's plenty of whistleblowers in Australia, like David McBride about the Australian military, Peter Fox about the police. They're the ones that should be speaking at the rallies, bringing this new information, but instead they just harp on about the jab and the COVID and stuff. And it's like that is a real issue. It's a massive genocide issue on us right now. But underlying all that is the intelligence communities, it's the cults, it's the MK Ultra, both of individuals and the masses. This is what needs to come out. And I think
I agree.
This is what it's all about, right? This is everything. Everything that's happening right now is about covering up their connections to satanic child abuse and to this agenda of transhumanism and baby breeding farms. Look at John of God, friend of Oprah. I mean, that came out into the public. You know, we haven't even touched on what they've done to the Indigenous communities around the world. You know?
Exactly. And, you know, you can look at what was happening in the Canadian residential schools. At least that's starting to come out. What's happened here in Australia is just as intense. It's the same numbers, if not higher, I think it will be in the end. You know, our children in state care, you know, over the previous decades have been absolutely massacred. They've been used, you know, by these cults, by the intelligence communities, by our governments to exploit for experimentation, for rape, for organ harvesting, for creating these this artificial intelligence that they're delivering to people now. This is what needs to come out, because once you wake up to that, you're pretty woke. Like, you're not going to be sitting there going, oh, it's someone else's problem. Like, people need to be aware that the level of corruption goes through, up, around, and I don't think it can be solved by someone going into Parliament. I don't think it can be solved by someone going into court. You know, it's not about us putting our hopes on a single politician. It's about us empowering ourselves. It has to be a grassroots movement from the people, where we're all just doing our little bit, working together. And I believe this will mean that we set up communities that are sovereign from the dictatorship and the satanic rule that we've been living under. Like, we can fight against it for as long as we want to. We need to disconnect. And I think that's what our sovereign people are teaching us as well.
Absolutely. I was going to say, your friend Tanya Morgana, Sophia, is
beautiful.
I know, right? How beautiful was her last post? And she put these links in there for our education about becoming sovereign, joining together, black fella, white fella. I mean, this is absolutely where it comes from. Fuck the politician.
Yeah.
Well, this is where it comes down to, because they've been after their DNA, because they have the connection to the Dreamtime and the songlines. They've been since the Stolen Generation. I mean, if you look at the underground bases, they've had the Stolen Generation in there for hundreds of years, just breeding them, trying to take their DNA and replicate it and create their own transhuman, but they can't get that. They can't take it. They can't replicate it because there's a special connection. And this is what it's all about. And instead of it just being, you know, our original sovereigns, it's now everybody. And they're calling us in. They're calling us in. I've spoken up about it several times. They're calling us in. Wiritajan. We've got to come back under the original Sovereign Tribal Federation. We can get protection notices through them. We are joining together, and this has been written in prophecy. So
it really has, yeah.
But
while we're just on that, these protection notices, I had a friend reach out and ask me, If you can send me a link to that, that'd be awesome.
Yep.
And I'd love to share that as well.
You go to, just for the viewers, if you go in Australia, if you go to the Original Sovereign Tribal Federation website, so it's ostf.com.
Okay.
And you'll look on there and you can download it. And you can donate, or you can get one for free. I got one signed by our local Kabi tribe, so I'm under them as well as OSTF. But yeah, it's, people need to understand what's going on underneath our feet.
Literally.
And this is what they've been trying to tap into, is the energy lines and the ley lines and all these special portal sites across Australia. This is why they built military bases at these special sacred sites, to try and tap into the energy. But they can't get it. And it's been stopped now. I believe the bases have all been cleared in Australia. And they've got rid of the dark entities that were living there, the different creatures and different alien species. And I believe that if you look at the sky at the moment, what's been going on, there's so much activity with Space Force, and we're really cleaning it up. And the original sovereign people are going to be the end of this story. They're going to bring everyone together, all the song lines, all the dream time, all the other indigenous tribes around the world. They are going to join together, and there's going to be massive healing for everybody. But the stories need to come out. The real stories need to come out.
Absolutely, Sophia. I think it's just so beautiful to see these people. They owe us nothing. Like, I mean, I know that you haven't done anything personally to them, but we are part of the colonization project, and they've been eradicated for hundreds of years. And, you know, for them to welcome us, to understand that we are not now recognizing that we are under attack, you know, I think it's just such a beautiful, it just gives me shivers. Like, it's just so heartwarming to see people that have just been so targeted, that owe us absolutely nothing, standing up and calling for us to unite, for us to come together to create this new world. It's amazing. And it's 100% going to happen here in Australia. Like you said, it's always been written that it would be from here, the rising up, and it will be started by these communities starting to come up that declare themselves sovereign from all the shits, because we can fight it, but at the end of the day, we need to step away and create the new as well.
Also, accessing, because this isn't a 3D war. This is a multi-dimensional thing that's happening in here. And I can only speak for myself as a white fella in this life. I haven't had. I have for the last 30 years. I've been working on realigning with that energy. But as a kid growing up, there was no mention of it. There was no. And I had a great childhood. I grew up through the 60s and 70s. So I had what I consider to be a great childhood. I was free, everything. But I also have a really strong belief that, particularly for those of us in this position now that have a real knowing, a real connection to the Indigenous, to the native peoples around the world, I believe we've had lifetimes as Indigenous people. I believe we've had lifetimes as abused children. Otherwise, we wouldn't get it. We wouldn't get it so quickly.
100%. Yeah,
we're not separate to them. That we're all connected, and this is what's coming in. It's so beautiful.
It really is, isn't it? And to just dive into what you were saying about it not being a 3D world, the government, the Australian military, and the Australian intelligence know full damn well we're not living in a 3D world. They've withheld that information from us to disempower us. They don't want us to look into that connection between us and source, between us and the earth, which we've been created from, to the very elements that our bodies are created from, because they know once we have that, we are completely empowered. You know, we can disconnect from it all. So Yeah, our military bases have been used, like Sophia was saying, for portals. They've been part of what they've been using the children there for, has been to open up those portals. And there's been a massive agenda through the intelligence and Australian military, along with other military forces and intelligence around the world, to actually bring in demonics through those portals. And there's survivors speaking out about this multi-dimensional warfare that's been going on for so long. And if you want to learn about that, I recommend following Jessie Sabota. She speaks usually weekly on Aquarius Rising, and she was one of the children that were used. She was born into the system, and she was used to open the portals, and they were teaching her basically to manage the interdimensional forces that were coming through. So, and there's plenty.
These are the negative
Correct.
interdimensional forces. Okay, so we have good and we have not so good. So the ones that have been feeding off our children and feeding off the loosh and feeding off the adrenochrome are the negative interdimensional.
Correct. And our government obviously doesn't make any statements about this being a multi-dimensional world, but they were running those programs. You know, Australian military was involved, Pine Gap was involved. You know, these are all programs that the MK Ultra was working on through like psychic driving, and children were being trained to have heightened psychic skills for remote viewing, to be able to spy, to open these portals, to bring things in. You know, it's real. And if you haven't had the experience of it, you're probably going to find it gets closer, because the veil is getting very, very thin now, as more and more people are aware of us living in a multi-dimensional world. And it's nothing to be afraid of. There's way more good than bad. But it's really concerning how much the government has actually known. And the CIA files were disclosed about all of this too. So you can go onto a decent search engine and look it all up. And, you know, they've got their files there saying they know this is a multi-dimensional holographic universe. It's not rounds, it's kind of curved. And yeah.
We're not the only planet that this has happened to. So we're not the only planet that this has happened to. This has happened to many, many planets. And the time has come where they've crossed the line, and it's no more. And you've got people, whether you're into Trump or you're not into Trump, you've got people like Trump who actually went after the child traffickers. He knew Hillary was involved. That was his mission, to clean up the pedophilia, to clean up the child trafficking, and to get every child home as a survivor and give them support. So whether you like him or whether you don't, I don't care. But I know in the background, there is a huge alliance worldwide working on saving the children, providing care for the survivors, giving them support. This is going to take a long time. And time's up. Time's up basically on planet Earth. It's over.
Time's up. And, you know, it bringing this back to the Epstein Ghislaine sort of situation, you know, it was, I think, through the 60s, I think or maybe after the Second World War, actually, the program started to break the family. So to break the family unit, to destroy the family, basically. So what's happened, you know, it made it very easy for people like Ghislaine to go out into these broken neighborhoods and pick these children who they wouldn't be missed if they disappeared for a couple of days. They knew they were vulnerable. They had no money. So they break the family, they create these vulnerable children, and then they take advantage of them. It's pretty obvious now, isn't it?
It really is. The ones creating the problem are creating their solution, aren't they? Taking them into state care. You know, vulnerable kids and vulnerable families are always targeted by perpetrators. And it's the same with the organized end. They have easy access to these families. And, you know, I can speak for the families that I've been in touch with around Australia that are having issues with family court. They can't get the police to even, like, you know, check on children that they know are being abused with another party. You know, all of these things are part of this system.
When we have a mutual friend, Gabby and I, that's how I met Gabby.
Absolutely.
And I met a beautiful woman at the march, and her child's held in a compound in Australia with many other children, and there is nothing you can do. They've been fighting the system for 5 years, and their children that are trafficked through the church there. And
church, so common. Yeah, it's if the public of Australia knew that there were, I mean, I can only speak for the families that I'm in touch with, and I'm only one person, but there are families all around Australia in every major city, in every major town, that are having their children trafficked, and they cannot even call the police. Quite often the police are involved. It's absolutely
quite often the police show up at the house or people dressed up in police uniform show up at the house and take the children, and they're not actually police.
Correct. Yeah.
We are surrounded by bad actors, my friends, but thankfully it's all coming to light. There are more and more people getting it. The veil is lifting. Cognitive dissonance is still there. It's still a big problem, but at a certain point in time, people will not be able to turn away from this, and the floodgates have opened.
They really
what was
have.
the cult bust in Blacktown not long ago, a week or two ago? I saw you post, so that's coming out.
It sure is. You know, I've seen a few mentions of satanic ritual abuse in the media, and one was when we had the T-shirt issue, and we had Stuart Grimley, an MP here in Victoria, actually speak to the media, and they were able to put articles in papers. And then exactly about the Blacktown cult bus. You know, we haven't had any mention of cult and satanic ritual abuse in Australia for 20 years. So it is starting to come out. So
even Scott Morrison mentioned satanic ritual abuse in Parliament. Didn't he?
The background to that, which is quite interesting, is Fiona Barnett, after she was denied any, the media refused to publish anything to do with her story. And when she went to Parliament and actually spoke out about the pedophile rings in front of, held a press conference, most of the media outlets said they lost her story and didn't publish it. So she just started going on social media and just campaigning. And she campaigned to Donald Trump. She campaigned to Scott Morrison, wanting an apology for ritual abusers. And I reckon Trump made Morrison say that because she was in touch with him at that time. And she wanted it said publicly, like it wasn't just children that were exploited and raped. Satanic ritual abuse was in there as well, and it was very prominent because of the people involved, obviously, as well. So good on her. You know, she was an absolute driving force of the early days of getting this information out. And I know
one of those things that, sorry mate, one of those things.
No, there's a bit of a delay, so I'm sorry, I feel like I'm talking over you.
No, I keep interrupting you, I'm sorry. And I'll bring it back to this one again, listening to Fiona, and the thing that really shocked me, everything shocked me, but one of the things that horrified me was the idea that they could be sacrificing a child on the altar at a church that families go to on a Sunday.
Yeah,
I mean, that just blew my mind.
Or a town hall. And we know that survivors have spoken out about children being sacrificed at the Hillsong churches. So it's nothing new. Frankie Arena tried desperately to bring that to the public attention, over a decade ago, and these whistleblowers just get shut down. So thankfully, there's enough of us speaking out now. They can't stop it.
And they've got Lumpa speaking up about it too.
Oh, he's amazing.
God bless him. He's been diligent. He works with children. So he's a youth worker, and he's been speaking up about it pretty heavily.
Yeah, and that's what you need now is, anyone who has this knowledge, this firsthand experience, and has kept their mouth shut because you felt like you weren't protected, it's time to come forward. So it's not just the survivors that need to come forward and tell their stories. Like, they're incredibly brave after being the victims. There's all the people that have been working in state care that know about these trafficking rings and the children. There's the doctors, there's the nurses, there's the hospitals where they've been, there's the psychologists, and all of it. If you're working within one of those organizations and you're watching this, like, your time to speak out is now, because otherwise you're going to be going down with the rest of them. So be a whistleblower. come forward, protect the children. You know what's right as well.
Another very strong voice, and she's not Australian, she's American, but Kathy O'Brien. And she's also written a few books that really help, really expose what's been going on and offer assistance. She's got a program that can help people who have been through, I've written down her website somewhere.
Abuse, yeah.
But she's amazing. She's been speaking up for 30 years. She spoke up about the Bushes. She was in an MK Ultra program herself, and she went to all the top politicians and movie stars through the Bushes, through the Clintons, the whole bit.
Oh, yeah.
She's probably going to be one of the witnesses at the trial.
Damn straight. Yeah, absolutely.
I heard that they were shutting the trial down. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but there was word that they were going to shut it down after the first week. So I don't know what's going on there.
I've heard a rumor about that. And then there was also a rumor saying that it was going to get shut down and transferred elsewhere, which I presume would mean military trial. So regardless of what happens, it's all awareness at this stage. Like, I believe the deal is done.
Yeah.
I just think they're having a hell of a time waking up these people from the mass programming and indoctrination. I think potentially they would have liked to have been at this stage a while ago, so people weren't continuing to harm themselves with this. But yeah, I can't imagine the decisions that are having to be made with people of knowledge of what's going on, because there's going to be collateral either way. I mean, I know that there's going to be people that can't handle the truth, even though it's not going to come out in its entirety, that choose not to be here. And, you know, also with survivors of both SRA, child sexual abuse, or any sort of violence, it's going to be really hard to stomach for those people if they haven't, you know, been through some healing as well. So
something that's just dropped in for me, sorry to interrupt, but something just dropped in.
Very fresh.
Yeah. So we're going, at the moment, they're targeting the 5 to 11-year-olds. Now, hear me out. At the moment, they're trying to expose the child trafficking. It's coinciding. Coinciding for the mama bears and papa bears to rise for the injection, and they're bringing it out into the consciousness, the trafficking. It's going to coincide. It's the children that will unite the world. It always has been, it always will be, but they're going to get both. They're going to get a double whammy. We have to make it so it never happens again. It's got to be a shock. It's got to be something big. And why has it all coincided timing wise?
So true. So true. It's going to have to be a real gut punch, like a real shake to wake a lot of people up. And, you know, I was in tears about the jab about 12 months ago because I could just see what was going to happen. And I've dealt with it now. Like you have to recognize that it's people's free choice. We're all free will. Everyone's here for different missions as well. So some people are going to choose to head off at this time because they don't want to deal with what's coming, and maybe they'll come back and do another round, you know. So it's no judgment, it's just where people are at as well. But yeah, it's going to have to be a real shock to motivate the public to wake up, and unfortunately that might have to be a massive health scare. Personally, I don't know, unfortunately we live in a very selfish, satanically built society, so I don't even know if that much information coming out about the children will shake these people. It's kind of like they're so traumatized and introverted and like this to it all. I think it'd have to be such a personal scare to give them a chance to catch up at this stage. So I believe there's a divine plan for all of us. Yes. It's hard sometimes to watch people do things, but we're all on different journeys, aren't we? So
ultimately, this is all a very good thing because it's coming out, and it's coming out at the right time. It's coming out at the right pace. We have to trust the process. We have to trust the plan. We don't really have much of a choice because this is an extraordinarily huge thing.
What an incredible time to be alive as well.
Amazing. Yeah. Girls, we're going to wrap it up there. Final words, Sophia.
Just again, thank you, Gabby, for everything you do, and Jane for having us on the echo chamber. I love you all. Just keep standing in your truth, keep speaking your truth. keep moving forward, and remember, it's always been, always will be about the children, saving the children.
Love that.
Gabby, what would any last words, Gabby?
Look, I think now is the time for us all to challenge ourselves. And, you know, I was just thinking before as I was trying to log in because my computer was taking ages. You know, there's so many people that know about this, that know about the children and aren't speaking out. And you don't have to be on Zooms, you don't have to be, you know, doing anything publicly, but at least be educating the people around you. And it's your gift to them, because they would much rather hear it from you than get the shock that's going to be coming pretty soon as well. So if you haven't found your voice yet, please just, you know, follow your heart, find a way to be active. It's not about fighting the system, but I think it's about us creating this new world through love, which is a complete different way that this current shit show has been created. So, you know, stay in your heart, do things that you love, and take action where you can to be a voice for our children, because they need us now. And it's the perfect opportunity with the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. We should just be plastering everything with that, because it's waking people up to the corruption of governments, media, the entertainment industry, you name it. There's no more important story at the moment. And it's good that people are hearing it from alternative sources than the MSM as well. So even if you don't feel that you can make a difference, because I believe that's how we've all been indoctrinated as well, you can. You know, we're so much more powerful than we think. And especially when we come together, you know, you guys have got amazing platforms and followings and are speaking out in your communities. Like, that's all we need to do. It's not fight, it's just shine another way. And that's what our sovereign people are teaching us as well, is to stand in love, stand in truth, stand in unity. I'm going to shut this shit show down.
Yeah. They can't fight love.
Exactly.
You can't fight love. You can't fight love. This is the ultimate power. This is the ultimate thing. This is what they've tried to take away from us, and they cannot. So we'll leave it there. I thank you both again very much for joining us. And I just want to say, if there are people listening that are too afraid to reach out publicly, then I'm sure I can speak for Sophia, Gabby, and myself and say, please reach out to us, or reach out to anybody else that you feel like can help you, because we're all here. We're all in this together. I love the black fella, white fella. I just love it. My whole life, just love it. So thank you. Stay strong. Keep going. We're getting close to the end. And appreciate you both so much. Thank you.
Love you, Jane. Love you, Gabby.
Love you guys too.
Thanks, guys.